Well, hey there, Mama, and welcome back to the Mom's Overcoming Overwhelm podcast, episode number 246. I'm Emily McDermott, and I'm here beside you as we work together to declutter your home, head, and heart. We are in the thick of the summer months, which means it's been a little hard to find time to record. I'm solo parenting this week. I got a literal black eye from my kid. The back of his head smacked into my face. I literally have a black eye. And he just clogged our toilet. And I hate plunging toilets. Can you feel this? It's like the summer craziness. And so I am just thrilled to bring you my conversation on the Financial Coaching for Women podcast. They were on this podcast. We were talking about all things budgeting and how to be bougie on a budget. I'll make sure to link that in the show notes. But I talk a lot about how we can stop overspending at Target. And I know that overspending is a major issue for a lot of us. Also, when it comes to the stuff in our home, a lot of it is because we're not spending as intentionally as we would like. So without further ado, grab that notebook and pen and enjoy my conversation with the Budget Besties all about how to be more intentional with your spending, how to stop overspending at Target, and all things decluttering. Hey Mama, are you tired of your cluttered home and mile-long to-do lists but are too overwhelmed to know where to start? Do you lack the time and motivation and don't think you'll ever conquer the clutter? You're in the right place. I'm Emily, wife, boy mom, and declutter coach who has overcome the overwhelm in my own life through decluttering and simplifying. I believe every mom deserves the peace that comes from a clutter-free home. Ready to get your life back? Let's declutter your home, head, and heart together.
Emily, thank you so much for coming on Financial Coaching for Women. We are so excited to have you. You have a wonderful podcast called Moms Overcoming Overwhelm, where you help women declutter their homes, their heads, and their hearts. So welcome to the show.
Thank you guys so much for having me. I've been familiar with you guys because I'm also a Steph Gass student. And so just like super pumped to be talking about all things intentional spending and decluttering and all the things. So thanks for having me.
We are excited to have you. You were just telling us, one of the things that you do is in-home decluttering, and you're like completely booked because we all need this stuff out of our house. And I showed Vanessa, I was like sneaking on your Instagram this morning, and you had just a wonderful post. Like, your closet is full, you have nothing to wear. Your schedule is full, but you feel lonely. Like all of this stuff, I feel like that's resonates with people so much. So we're really excited to have you on, and like, you can just help us all.
Yeah, speak life over our audience.
So tell us a little bit. You just mentioned it. We met through Steph Gass through Podcast to Profit, but tell us a little bit about you, where you got started, and then we're going to jump in. We have a really juicy question for you to start, but let's start there.
Okay, sure. So I'm a wife, a mom of two boys, 8 and 9. They're very rambunctious and energetic, and it's really
It's very positive.
Very positive.
I know. I got into all of this actually through infertility. So when my husband and I were struggling to have children, and I was just very overwhelmed in all senses of the word, and then learned about decluttering and simplifying and minimalism and those types of things. And really starting with my home, but then looking at my schedule and having those emotional clutter things that come up too. And so really it's been over a decade now that I've been on this journey. Love it so much. Love serving women, helping them declutter all aspects of their lives, and just living with less and being able to enjoy the benefits of that has really served me in all seasons of my motherhood. And I'm just very grateful for the opportunity to share what I know with others.
I love that. And I love how you say that you're not just decluttering their home, but you're decluttering their heads and their hearts as well. Can you speak to that a little bit? Because I love it all coincides. And I think it's not just one area, it's all of it. So can you kind of speak to how it all works, together?
Yeah. Well, for women, and especially I work with a lot of moms, there's a lot of identity shifts that go on as you are maybe having to leave behind some activities that you used to do, or like the crafting projects that you don't have time for anymore, or the dresses that hang in your closet that you used to wear when maybe you were working outside of the home or went on date nights and that kind of stuff. So there's a lot of emotional stuff that is wrapped into the things that we own. And a lot of times I always say, if there's stuff in your closet or things in your home that are speaking to you or like mocking you, like, why haven't you used me? Why haven't you worn me? Why doesn't why can't you fit into me? You don't want things surrounding you that remind you of previous seasons of your life. You want it to support the life that you're living right now. And so that's why I think that it really impacts women and moms, because we have so many identity shifts through our lives in so many different seasons that it just all comes back to, okay, how can the things that surround me really support my life right now, but then also speak life into the season I'm in and not make me feel bad about like what I'm going through right now. So, because, we already have enough stress and anxiety in our lives. We don't need our stuff
Not
making it
help.
worse. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know if this speaks for everybody, but for me, I feel like it's your head is down, and so you don't notice as much that all of these things have changed or a new identity is happening, and then you look up all of a sudden you're like, oh, things are different, and so you do want your home and your life to reflect that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, here's the juicy question that I want to get to, because Emily, our friends, our fun budget besties, they have some problems with Target. Okay. Let's just put it that way. And I
They
feel
feel
them,
a certain kind of way.
and like, I don't have them because I don't have like time to go to Target.
Yeah, if you just don't go,
Like,
it
that's
helps.
that's my only, like, and that's not better. That's not necessarily better, you guys, but but it's our fun friends. It's in their budget. It's in our Facebook group all the time. So tell us how can we help someone who says they feel like they have no self-control at Target?
Yeah, that is a biggie. And I hear that a lot as well. And so I think that anytime that we recognize that we're feeling that out of control feeling in a certain environment, whatever that might be, we have to understand like, why are we going into the environment in the first place? So perhaps we go to Target because there are specialty things there that we can't get anywhere else, like Cat and Jack fits our kids better than any other clothing type or something like that. But more likely, it's not that Target has brand specific things that other places don't have. It's that we're going in for a certain experience and a certain feeling. Or perhaps it might be that when we're shopping there, we feel like we can control part of our lives, whereas other parts of our lives feel completely out of control. And so we're like, oh, but I can go and purchase this thing, and that's something I can do that I have agency over, even though my kids are completely out of control and I can't get them to behave. So we have to understand kind of our motivations and our reasons. And if okay, once I go in there, I don't have control because I'm just going to go to like the bullseye section. I think that still exists, right? I never actually it's where you get all like the stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
When you first come in, like all the seasonal stuff. And maybe that's like sort of the trigger or whatever the trigger might be. So the options could be, okay, I'm going to experiment with just doing Target pickup for a couple weeks and like see if that helps and how I feel about that. Or perhaps it's just like, I can't go there. It's a trigger store and I really have to find an alternative. I have a friend, Amy Slinker Smith. She's in the same space, but it was such a trigger for her that she literally does not go back in because it is just so hard for her. So really recognizing like, is Target special because of the product, or is it because of the experience that they're kind of selling to us, especially as women? And, can I recognize that for what it is? And perhaps I have control over my life in other ways rather than I can go in with my Starbucks in hand and like get this thing.
Mm. Yeah, the experience, I think that
was
speaks
big. Yeah.
that speaks to a lot of people. So we want to try to have that experience where it doesn't cause us to overspend and really it's not just the overspending with Target or Amazon. What are you doing with all of that stuff that you're
Yeah.
buying? Because we know you don't have room for it, friend. We know you don't. Like, you don't have room for it. You don't even know where it's going to go. What are you going to get rid of?
Yeah.
And like, that's a lot of decisions you don't want to have to make.
Well, and this reminds me of when I was when we had purchased the house that we're in now. The faster the faster that I could get it decorated, that meant I would not go into Hobby Lobby anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I knew that if I could just put everything on the walls and get everything in place that I wanted it, then I didn't have the desire to go decor shopping anymore because I had nowhere to put this stuff.
Yeah.
And I think that was the part for me that was like, because I'll have my mom was like, you want to go to Hobby Lobby? I'm like, no. She's like, why? And I'm like, because I will get distracted and I'll want to buy something and know that I have nowhere to put it. And then it just becomes clutter in my home and I just can't. So I think that idea of just knowing, like Shana said, that's fine. Like we can go into these stores and want to buy things, but then what are you doing with it afterwards? So if you can maybe take that half a second and think about, where is this going? How am I going to use this? Is this going to make my life better? Is it going to hinder me? Is it going to be a nuisance? Like all that. Then you can really probably help your overspending problem.
Well, and so when you said, why do we go to Target? Well, I'll tell you, because it's 6 miles from my daughter's volleyball practice. That's sometimes why I go now. And I would like to speak to the experience thing. That's not necessarily the worst thing ever. Like if you, like, especially if I'm Sans kids, right? And I want to just go browse, that's fine. But I think part of the problem too, Emily, is it's like a everything store. And I don't know, like I came in because I needed socks. And now I am here.
You're left with a whole basket full
all
of stuff.
Things. And so I just really have to, if I want the experience, it doesn't mean I have to buy. Like I can just, like, the other thing, it's decluttered. It's organized by color. It's pretty. Like that is part of the experience, which, by the way, your house can look like if you let Emily help you. But like you can have the experience maybe without buying all the things.
Yeah, and it's so true. Like, I appreciate going to Target without children, but I do go with a list and I stick to the list because it is not a triggering store for me to have an impulse type of buy. And I think when we talk about the idea of impulse, or whether you were talking about like compulsion or like those types of things, I see it as trying to lengthen the space between the stimulus and the response. Okay, so the stimulus is that I'm in a certain environment, or something happens to me, or my kids do something and it triggers me or whatever. How am I lengthening that space between the stimulus and the response so that I can make a choice that's based upon my prefrontal cortex actually making the decision, rather than kind of like, as I say to my kids, the upstairs brain and the downstairs brain.
Lizard brain.
Yeah, like the animalistic response, like, oh, I'm going to do this, I'm going to get this, and have like the dopamine hit and the whole thing, rather than just taking that moment to understand, like, so why? Like, why do I feel compelled to get this right now in this place? Is it environmental? Is it habitual? Like, what's driving this actual behavior? And that pause, and I know you guys talk about this just with on the financial side, but that pause is everything. And it actually gives you power. You can say, like, the pause gives you power, right? To be able to make a decision that is coming from a place of agency and choice, rather than coming from well, this is what I've always done, or this feels good in the moment, even though I don't know where I'm going to put this thing when I get home. And that's really where it comes down, what it comes down to when we're talking about trying to break some of these habits around like impulse buying and impulse shopping.
Yeah, and I think all of it, like we said, it all goes together, and organizing is organizing. The way we teach our budget system, you might have a home outfit or a spending bucket or a savings bucket. You might have a kid's spending or savings bucket. So if you can come up with that list, I think that's a great option for people. Come up with that list. If it's a triggering place, like or if it's something that you're like, don't go so much. It's that simple. Go once a month. Make it on purpose. Make it without your kids. Get your Starbucks. Have your spending budget. Have your list. Enjoy yourself.
Yeah, make it an experience.
Like, make it your experience. But let's go once a month with that list intentionally. What we found, Emily, is, and I'm sure it's the same with everything else, if they have money separated and they know, okay, I have $100 that I set aside to get stuff for the house every month, right? And I'm going to my Starbucks, and I get to combine all of that. I have some boundaries with spending. I know I'm doing this because I enjoy being in Target. Like, nobody's like throwing oatmeal at me or whatever. I'm just kidding. I don't know what's happening. But we could do it all on purpose, and maybe that will help the overspending, all of that on purpose.
Well, and I love how you said the power and the pause, because I think that's huge, of figuring out, why is this place triggering? What is, like, okay, I want to buy this thing, but for what reason? And just asking yourself, taking a minute to ask yourself some questions and pause and thinking about some stuff can really help you walk through that. I was trying to think of, like, is there a store that's triggering for me? And I don't know, maybe it's just because we have our money under control so well in our savings buckets. I don't know if that has ever been a problem for me, because we've done this system for so long that we talk about this all the time. Get your money organized and separate, and you'll stop your overspending problem. And people really sometimes don't believe us, but I really believe that that's where I'm at, and it's been there for a really long time. And I'm not trying to gloat or anything, but I'm just saying it works. Like being able to have a certain amount of money that you know that you're going to spend somewhere every so often, then allows you the control to know that you're not overspending for nonsense reasons.
Yeah, and what I teach is more on the physical side, but it is freedom within the boundary. So you're
Yeah.
going to pick the boundary, like perhaps that I'm going to have this part of my closet devoted towards dresses. And within that boundary, I can go and I can pick some really cute outfits and it's fun and I'm not restrictive. But I have set a boundary for myself, not only based maybe financially, but then also how much time and energy I want to spend managing it. Right.
Right.
So having the freedom within the boundary means that you can enjoy that freedom side of it, but it's not feeling that out of control feeling. Because at least for me, that out of control feeling, I felt it more, not so much of spending with like parenting and relationships and some of those things. It's not a good feeling. And especially afterwards, if you buy certain things and then you kind of have that buyer's remorse or you say something and then you wish you hadn't said it and then you're feeling remorse and guilt about that. It's just really kind of a cycle because then you're feeling bad. And so what are you going to do? You're going to, maybe go back to Target and buy something else. So it's just, I love that approach with having like those buckets. And then that's the same as how I recommend you approach your space.
What do you say? Like, if there was a trigger store, I would say maybe we don't live by one, but the Container Store. Okay, we went in there and we're like, we love everything, but also we can't. I don't know what to do. There's too many things. So also like it's a good thing in that way. But what do you say to the person who's like, okay, it's time to organize. I'm so excited, but first, let me go get the bins and the pretty baskets and all the labels, and I'm gonna go get all of that, and then I'll be ready. What do you say to that person?
Don't.
Okay. Done. Check. All done. Yeah.
Yeah. For many things in life, like the tool helps, but it doesn't actually solve the problem. Like could want to get my time under control and buy a planner, and it's like the prettiest, best planner.
Mhm.
But then if I never actually like use it or like be able to interact with it or have it be part of my life, like it's not going to do anything. So what I find with the people that I work with, they say they are quote unquote disorganized when really 90% of the time they just have too much stuff. Like flat out, they just have way too much stuff. And based upon not my decision, not that like, oh, you have too much stuff and so I think that's bad. No, it's based upon their capacity to manage it. If you are overwhelmed by the stuff in your home, or if your kids are overwhelmed by the stuff in their home, in their rooms or whatever, then you are not able to manage it. You are exceeding your capacity. So 90% of it is that. I'd say about 5% is that we don't have specific purposes for
Mhm.
spaces. And so they become catch-alls. So if you have kind of like a bin, but you haven't talked about like the purpose of the bin, it's just going to be a catch-all for anything anyone wants to throw in there. And then the other 5% are the habits of actually having to tell your kids, like, I say kids just because I'm sorry, that's my role, but saying to your spouse or partner or whoever, like, this doesn't go here. I'm trying to keep this counter clean because of such and such, but I do have a space for you to put it. Or instead of putting your coat on the floor, can we put it on the hook? Or just like,
Papered. The floor. Wait,
I
that's not
know,
where let's go?
I know. It's crazy, right?
Multi-purpose place for things.
Yeah, I know. But yeah, so like mostly it's not that you need to go right out and get the bin because the bin's not going to solve your problem. We need to first worry about volume, where the intentional spending comes in, because if you're bringing in too much stuff, you can't manage the volume.
Yeah.
And then also working on the purpose and your plan for where things go and why, and then the habits to support you being able to functionally like live your life without having clutter in the way.
Mhm.
I love this because it's, organizing clutter. Like, what is that going to do? That you're just rearranging things at that point. Like, there's no progress being made. So I love how you're talking about the volume of stuff that you have and just making sure that you love it. Like, what do you have? Do you actually love it and do you use it?
Well, and like to your point, the definition of clutter is stuff that hasn't been put away. So we can't like and what we found is like if it's not put away, it's probably because it's not at home,
Mhm.
and then also there's probably no room for it anywhere.
Right.
Like, and let's just, it's way easier to Vanessa's point to organize less stuff. Like, let's go for that. And then that's when you'll be able to have that Target like home where everything feels like it has a nice spot and it's all pretty. Like that could be you. But I think, yeah, the bins don't solve the problem. They actually make it worse in some cases. I think that's a great point. Okay. So do you have any, like maybe you have some tips or like a quick reset for someone who's thinking right now, like, I have all this clutter. I'm not going to go get the bins. Emily told me that's not the solution. And they feel behind. Like what would you tell them?
Yeah, sure. So I teach a method called the transform method, but because that's a long acronym, I'm just going to focus on the first three, which is the low-hanging fruit. Okay.
Yep.
So TRA, trash, anything that is like obvious trash. Just do a trash sweep around your space. And this can also be, if you do have kids that are overwhelmed by cleaning their rooms, just like, where is the trash? Let's find the trash. Okay. R is relocate. Now, this is important, especially for my friends that have ADHD or they get easily distracted, because you're going to find something in the space that doesn't belong there. And you're going to go, oh, this belongs in the basement. Let me go downstairs and put it in the basement. No, don't do that. Don't do that. You're going to have just a bin for things that do not belong in that space. They belong somewhere else in your home, but just not where you're at. You're just going to have a bin where you collect those things, and at the end, you'll put them away. And then A is anything you know that you want to get rid of. This is like you're not really making a hard decision here. It's oh, I meant to give that back to my sister-in-law. Oh, my kids grew out of this, pair of snow pants. And so I'm going to go ahead and donate those. Anything that's like the super easy decisions. And those three things, generally, that's about like 30% of what is in that space. And that gives you like that quick win where you're like, oh, I can actually see like what's in here now and actually see what is supposed to stay in here and then be able to kind of get into those more, not, I wouldn't say difficult, but where you actually have to start being like, oh, how much space do I want to devote to this? And then making decisions within that space.
Well, and I think that those are really good tips for, like you said, a quick reset, being able to immediately make progress. So that way you feel like you've accomplished something. And then hopefully you can, if you do that in each one of your rooms, you can immediately feel like the relief from that.
Yeah, and especially with surfaces, it tends to be like trash or things that aren't where they're supposed to be. And just being able to clear those surfaces visually makes you feel like so much better. Like, oh, I can actually breathe, because there is a connection between visual clutter and then like stress and cortisol levels rising and that kind of stuff.
Everybody feels better when it's not cluttered. Like everybody benefits from it. And I want to move on, but I want to say, God bless the people that can put stuff away and not get distracted. Like I think there are people out there that they could go in the basement and then they wouldn't be like, oh, the laundry in the basement, I have to do this now. Like I think they're there, and God bless them. I'm not one of those people. So I love the idea of a bin or a laundry basket or whatever it is. Just like get the one thing, fix the one thing.
Stay focused on the mission and the main mission.
Yes.
And I also love timers. I don't know if you're a fan of timers. Like, it doesn't even matter. It's a timer in anything in my life. Like, okay, 5 minutes on this room, 5 minutes. Like, if we can just do that, and then, the timer, you have to repeat it or whatever. But I think that helps me. And so I don't know if there's any other, as we're coming into spring, people are really trying to, like, what can I do? What, like, do I just throw everything away? Like, what can I do to get this quick feeling of like you said, everybody, like, clean surfaces and nice looking rooms? What other tips or what other ideas come to mind when I say that?
Yeah, well, I teach something and it's called the container concept. So really it is that having that artificial boundary around a certain item. And so that way, when you are making the decision about how much I'm keeping, and it can be kind of agonizing because you're like, well, might need this someday, or, oh, I spent so much money, or we have all of these stories that we tell ourselves in our brain as to why we want to keep something. Instead of that, you're just looking at the boundary and you're like, okay, this is my bookshelf. I am going to keep enough books that fit on the bookshelf. They're not going to be on the floor and on the table and on the nightstand and all the other places, because I don't want to have to think about all the different places where the books are in this house. I just want to know that they are on the bookshelf. And so being able to then pick the boundary based upon your desire and capacity to manage that category is really important, because I just interviewed someone. She lives with a family of 4 in a 1-bedroom apartment apartment in New York City. Okay. Her name's Christine. She's amazing. But so her decision with what she keeps is very different than
Right.
if I lived in a 4,000 square foot home. However, our capacity to manage things may be very similar because we
Yeah.
may be in very stressful seasons. We might have full-time jobs. We might have a lot of things going on. So just because we have the potential space doesn't mean that we make the decisions based upon that. We make it based upon our capacity to manage it and create an artificial boundary that aligns with that. So that would be my other kind of recommendation as you're deciding what to keep and what to let go of, and not so much of all of the stories your brain tells you why you should hold on, but looking more at that capacity and that container idea.
I think that's fantastic. I love the idea of like, what can you manage? Like what the capacity of what you can manage. Because right now I can manage zero
Yeah.
with the amount of what's going on in our lives with kids and
Yeah.
sports and work and family and like all that. I can literally manage very little, but I know that like in this season of life, and I'm okay with that. It's fine. But I love like being able to recognize that and ask yourself that question. I think that that's really important.
Yeah, and I think it's really good as far as kids. What they also have certain amount that they can manage. And if they can't keep their room, they have more than they can manage. And obviously, to your point, like we need to set up some systems or some containers that make it really easy for them. But if 20 Barbie dolls is too many, baby, like it doesn't like you if you can't manage it,
Yeah.
then we need to help you. That's the way I would have told my kids that. But I also think for me, like being military, we moved all the time. Like when you were talking about control at Target, the control I have is I can throw things away. Like I am going to throw everything in. And so we usually err too far on that side, just like getting rid of everything because I feel like I don't know if I can manage or I don't know how much I can handle. So it's easier for me to handle nothing
Right.
versus so much. So I think that that's a really good point. And we obviously have to find the right amount. But I will say, Emily, I recently got a much bigger bookshelf. So
Yes, it's lovely.
I don't know. I haven't even had time to like actually fix it, but I don't know if that's following the rules. Like, because I had so many books and then I just got a bigger bookshelf. But that's not what you're saying. That's not what you're saying, but that's what I
Well,
did.
you got a bookshelf for a different reason.
Yeah.
You would naturally already had a ton of books. But yeah, it's different. It's different. It's different.
I don't know, but it's anyway. So I think that the like Vanessa said, the managing what can you manage in this season? I love getting rid of all of the junk reasons. I think a container is such a black and white. Like this, like I was thinking when you said that, my workout tops, they fit in this drawer. That's how many workout tops you can have, Shana. No more workout tops. Like that makes it so easy. It's not about when did I buy it, how long have I had it, how much did it cost? It's like what fits in this drawer.
Yeah, one final example I want to give is my kids. They are 8 and 9, and they have these shoe boxes that they call treasure boxes, air quotes. And it's all the junky stuff that they get from school and birthday parties and all the things. They've had these since they were about 3 years old. Okay. They're now 8 and 9. They have kept the same boundary, the same limit since that time. And they play a game anytime that they have stuff coming in. At the time of recording, we had Valentine's Day pretty recently, and they play a game called Love, Like, Maybe, No. And you start with what you love and you fill it first, then what you like, and it starts getting full and you have to make decisions. I don't say to them, oh, you just had Valentine's Day and you got all of these goodies. That's great. Let me go get you a huge bin and we're going to put everything in that huge bin and it's going to take up half your room. How does that sound? No, we make decisions based upon that limit, and that is what they know. And so now they're able to make those decisions more easily because I don't want to manage huge bins of junk.
No.
So that's a good example, especially if you have kids, because they do collect a lot of this kind of what I would call junky stuff, treasures in their mind,
Memorabilia. To them, it's
memorabilia. Yeah. But just not, being very, this is the limit. Like
Yeah.
this, if it fits, it fits. If it doesn't, you have to make a decision. And they have to realize we have to make decisions. We have to make choices in life. We don't get just to do like whatever we want all the time. We have a bedtime. We have a routine. Like there's other constraints and boundaries in their lives anyway. So this is just an example of that, but with their stuff.
Yeah, my daughter has the same. She has a bin, and she's had it for a while. And so, like once a year is when she'll pull it out from under her bed and she'll go through it and she'll downsize. Oh, I wanted to keep this when I was 5, but I am almost 16 now, and this no longer I don't need it. right? And I think it's really good for them to, like you said, to make those decisions and go through it. And not just about your kids, but you as well. Like you need to have that being able to declutter your space and know that you're only keeping what you love and what makes you feel good. And then the rest of it can go, and that's okay.
Oh yeah, love it. Okay, so we got into some fun things here today, Emily, but I know on your podcast that our fun budget besties will be able to find so many more. Like if they want to go deeper, if they're in this mode, it's spring, I'm gonna declutter, I'm gonna get organized, I'm gonna reduce my overwhelm really in all areas of my life. So tell them about your podcast and tell them how else they can find you and work with you.
Yeah, of course. Thanks. So the podcast is Moms Overcoming Overwhelm. So I have that on a weekly basis. And I'm going to give you just the URL for my Facebook group because we do decluttering challenges every other week. So like 15 minutes a day. And then I give away like coffee gift cards. And you don't have to go to the Starbucks and the Target. You can go to one of the standalone ones. But we can have that in the show notes. But it's just my free Facebook group. And yeah, and I would love to connect with people there.
Yay. All right.
Well, thank you again for coming on and giving us some tips and tricks and helping our listeners hopefully declutter their, not just their homes, but their minds and their hearts as well. And we will see you in that Facebook group, girl.
Yeah. Thanks so much, Shana and Vanessa. I really appreciate you having me on.
Hey Mama, thanks so much for listening. If you enjoyed today's show, could you please share this episode with another mom who is feeling overwhelmed? Also, it would mean the world to me if you could leave a 5-star written review wherever you listen to your podcast. Finally, if you would like more support, come on over to our free Facebook group, tinyurl.com/Moms Overcoming Overwhelm. Can't wait to connect with you soon.